Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, June 17th, 2024. I wanted to be able to deliver content for you today that was just normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill content. I wanted to be able to put out a new video, whether it be on Sister Wives, the Duggars, or whatever it is that you like to watch on my channel. I wanted to be able to refocus and have ability over the weekend to wind down, decompress, and enjoy Father's Day with my husband and my son and have a good day. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, and I'm coming on my channel to just share what happened to me on early Sunday morning and what I've been experiencing the last couple days in retaliation to a video that was made last week by Miranda Derrick from the series Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. By no means am I suggesting that any of this that I'm sharing has anything to do directly with Miranda herself or that Miranda is involved in any aspect of this. But what is being done to me is retaliation of what I would call either from supporters of Robert Shin or Robert Shin himself. I'm still working with law enforcement. I don't know the full scope of what's happening, but let me explain what's going on. By now, you should know that on May 29th, a series was released on Netflix called Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. I served as an archival consultant, and I was instrumental in helping to provide archives of records, whether it be videos, legal records, posts, reporting, or whatever they needed from a journalistic standpoint to help them put together the story. Because I was the person that broke the story in March of 2022, my archives were very extensive. My list of contacts with sources was also very extensive. And while I was not on screen in the series, I was working a lot behind the scenes. In 2022, when the story broke, Robert Shin decided that I was public enemy number one. Robert Shin is the pastor in the series that has been exposed by various victims, whether two women that were part of his church back from the early 2000s into one left in 2022 to recent victims that were the dancers, the professional dancers that were featured in the series as well. There was a total of 6 victims, and then there was also 2 separate families that shared their sides of the story and provided context and information about their experiences of losing someone to a cult. A lot of the series focused on the trauma of either being entrapped and enmeshed in a high control group, the aftermath and trauma of leaving that group, recovering from that, seeking justice for crimes that occurred while you were in the group, but also the other side of losing a family member to a group like this with fears that your family member is in an unsafe environment and is potentially being exposed to criminal activity or possibly even becoming criminally liable themselves. Because of the focus and the amount of publicity, I was prepared and expected that there would be some level of harassment coming my way. It is never easy to be a truth teller. I also knew, because Robert Shin sued me in April of 2022, that he would be trying to frame this series as some sort of narrative of my narrative of this is Katie Joy's story. This story has absolutely nothing to do with Katie Joy. This story was not my story. The story was the story of the people that were involved. My work helped tell the story in that I had archives. I interviewed people. I knew facts about this case. I knew facts about the cult. I knew facts about the religion. I knew facts about the situation. Prior to the series launching, there was an uptick in harassment that we were seeing on social media where people were trying to spam and create and incite vitriol against me in an effort to try to put into question the validity of the claims and the seriousness of what was entailed in this series. We saw a lot of creators on YouTube and on Instagram attempt to paint this as a one-sided narrative that Katie Joy created. And the facts of this case are Katie Joy told a story, reported on a story, and the victims are the ones that shared their side of the story. Robert and his side had an opportunity to respond and even participate in the series, but they declined. As a result, naturally, people are outraged with the acts that they feel are happening to the people inside. The level of control of the day-to-day lives that Robert Shin exhibits on the people underneath his control infuriates people. More importantly, there's a wider concern from the public that a man that has been accused by more than 3 women of SA is walking the streets in California with absolutely no repercussions and no safety for other women that are near him. Add that to the seriousness of this story is these influencers that are involved with Robert Shin have relatively higher profiles in the media. They're not A-list celebrities, but they are decently known in the dance industry, and they have significant influence on social media. Add that to the fact that they have access to celebrities that have much higher influence than them, and you have a recipe for disaster because they are influencing so many people, and there's a risk to communities of children and teens that are coming into this dance community and a potential for people to be recruited into this group. It doesn't help that there are actual celebrities that are friends with these people that are not speaking out against it, but we would never tell someone they have to speak out against it. We would never tell someone that they needed to discard their friend or, not support their friend. But I think there's a level of frustration because some of them do have pretty high profile friends that have said nothing. So obviously, with the amount of attention that's on Robert, last week there was a petition started by one of my colleagues, Haley, who runs the Instagram page called Stop Culting. She wanted to be able to start a petition that would urge and motivate the Los Angeles Police Department to do a full investigation into Robert Shin and to stop these limited interactions and these limited investigations and not doing their due diligence and not being bogged down by the fact that, LA is high crime and there's all kinds of cases. They want this to be taken seriously. And the fear for a lot of us moving into this series was that law enforcement to date has not taken any of this seriously. And part of that is because Robert is surrounded by people that enable him, that protect him, and that are also committing crimes with him. So they are unwilling to come forward under their own fears of potential retaliation by Robert, being blackmailed by Robert, or having any criminal liability themselves. The cult he creates and the insular community that he creates also is based on fear. And so it's been very difficult for people to speak out because they fear that Robert will go after them, and fears of death, fears of damnation, fears of lawsuits and financial ruin are legitimate fears that these people have. So I feel the last several days I have been going through a series of threats myself, and on Sunday at 4 a.m. police pounded on my door because someone had filed a false report with the FBI claiming that I was a hostage and my son and I were hostages, and that a man was trying to harm my son. The same person also tried to file a report with CPS in another county by using my attorney's name and email address and filing it as though they were my attorney, claiming that I had told them that I was going to harm my son. In the middle of all of that, I started getting threats from a group of creators on Instagram through my email address. They're also on YouTube that have been supporting Robert Shin since 2022 and helping him in their efforts to try to diminish the credibility of the victims in the story, taint and disparage and discredit me, and harass me into being silent. The threats which I received were horrific. Obviously, I'm not going to go into detail because the police are involved in my county and I have spoken to the FBI. These are not limited to me. They are threats against my son, my family, myself. But the main source of the threat is that these people are telling me that unless I stop talking about Robert Shin and remove my defamatory content about Robert Shin off of my platforms, they will come and hurt me or potentially kill me or my son. The police, although the SWAT team did not come, are treating this as an attempted SWAT because of the way that these people filed the reports. They were hoping that cops would go bust down my door and that it would lead to some sort of altercation, violence between me and the police. Unfortunately, right now, we don't know who specifically is doing this. What I do know is that the emails and threats that I am receiving all indicate that these people are doing this because they want me to stop talking about Robert Shin. They believe that if I stop talking about Robert Shin, apparently the story is going to go away. They want me to take down all my statements and remove everything. They also want to paint this as I am victimizing Robert Shin and I am victimizing the dancers that are still inside. This series of harassment I've been receiving, whether I've had the cops at my home 3 times now in the last 2 days. They were here for over an hour today. They were here yesterday in the afternoon or evening, and then they were here at 4 in the morning on Sunday. They have been filing reports with my city. They're bringing in people from my neighborhood. They have been taking photographs of my house and posting them online. They're doing whatever they can to try to intimidate and scare me to stop talking. In 2022, Robert teamed up with a group of creators on Instagram and on YouTube who were bound and determined to take me down. These same creators are now continuing to help him, and if you check YouTube on the algorithm and you want to watch some hate videos about me, most of those creators have either had direct contact with Robert Shin or through his fake accounts or through his Instagram pages that he once created about me. These creators have been incited and brainwashed to believe that I'm evil and that I am dangerous and that I have victims. Robert's biggest thing that he likes to say about me is that I have victims. I have proof upon proof upon proof of so many receipts of things that Robert Shin, through either him or through his mentors or people at his church, have written about me and shared about me on social media. At one point in time, he had 2 separate Facebook, Instagram pages dedicated to the smear campaign to expose me. Since 2022, he is trying to convince people that I am a danger to society, that I am a danger to Miranda, and that my reporting is going to put him and his dancers and himself in danger, and they're going to end up dead because of me. So when Miranda posted a video last week claiming that she was getting death threats, the truth is that it's more than likely these threats were actually coming from people that support Robert Shin. And when that video went live, his biggest motive and his biggest tactic throughout the last 2 years that I've covered him, and I feel like I've learned the way he moves so well. He's predictable, but he often deflects to my life is in danger, Miranda's life is in danger, her parents are causing this, Katie Joy is causing this, somebody else is causing it. It's always somebody else's fault. He's made these threats in the past. Miranda has accused her parents numerous times, and me, of putting her life in jeopardy. When she put that video up and it was seen more than 4 million times and posted all over the internet and picked up by the wider media, quickly retaliation started on me. And since that video was posted by Miranda, I have been attacked relentlessly through reports, false reports to the police, false reports to the city, false reports to CPS, 3 separate police officers at my house in the last 24 hours or 2 days, and reports to CPS in a different county. They have filed reports in my name to the Attorney General. They have filed reports that are false to the FBI. They are emailing people claiming to be me from an email address that is not mine, and sending threats to attorneys, to Robert's attorneys, to dancers, to other creators. They are trying whatever they can to make me look like I'm threatening everyone, and they are using Gmail accounts that are not tied to me in any capacity. They have impersonated me through Google accounts. One now has been deleted, and they have been trying to add my tips email, which is my Without a Crystal Ball tips email. It's not a personal account. They've been using that as the recovery email for them. Well, I got an email today that they deleted that email account because they set up my email address as the recovery email, which is insane. Anyways, through all of these different threats, I have now had to have the FBI involved, and I have law enforcement in my county as well. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's responsible, but I know that these people are doing this for Robert Shin. Whether he directly incited them or not, whether he told them to do this, really to me doesn't matter. They're doing this because I want to impress him. They want to defend him. They want to attack me. They want to make me part of the story, and they want to deflect. And I'm just here to tell you that if you're one of these creators doing this to me, if you're involved in this kind of activity, you will be prosecuted. We will find out who you are. We will pull IPs. We will pull subpoenas for social media. The police are actively investigating this right now. If you are someone that is using interstate means to make these threats, the FBI will also be involved. If you're a creator involved in this and you think that this is somehow going to move the needle and cause Netflix to take down the series, you are mistaken. Netflix will not take down the series. Netflix does not condone this kind of behavior. They do not support anyone in the series being threatened. I do not support anyone in the series being threatened. I don't support anyone filing false reports, sending fake emails or threats to anyone, whether it's Miranda, whether it's me, whether it's Wilkins, whether it's anyone in the series. Netflix will not take the series down. Making this about me doesn't change the victim's story, and trying to deflect away from who Robert Shin is and what he's done doesn't change who Robert Shin is and what he's done. I have been his scapegoat, along with the Wilkins, along with Melanie Wilkin, along with the other victims for years. This is what he does. He scapegoats everyone, and he's never to fault. So while you see creators that are online disparaging the show, questioning people's stories in the series, trying to incite drama between members of the production and subjects in the series, trying to create drama that doesn't exist, trying to create division, all of that is a tactic by this cult to try to change the narrative so you stop talking about Robert Shin. And no matter what is sent my way, no matter what threats are sent to me, I'm not going to stop talking about this cult. I'm not going to stop talking about this series. I'm not going to stop talking about criminal activity. I'm also not going to be framed for things. I'm not going to be prosecuted for things that I didn't do. I'm not going to have police show up at my house in the middle of the night thinking I'm going to hurt my child or someone's going to hurt my child. At this time, I have taken down my tips at withoutacrystalball.com email. It has been disabled, not deleted. It is disabled for the time being until the threats calm down, until whoever is doing this can be caught. I will take tips through Instagram, through my DMs, or on Facebook on my Facebook Without a Crystal Ball / Katie Joy. At this time, it is not safe for me to have an open email where anyone can contact me from the public for tips, simply because people are abusing it and using it to threaten my livelihood, threaten my son, threaten my life. I'm not down with that. At the end of the day, none of this, again, changes the facts of who Robert Shin is. None of this changes the story of what was told in that series, and none of this should detract you from the truth. You don't have to like me to see what he's doing. You don't have to care about me to see what Robert Shin is doing. Robert Shin wants you guys to think I'm being narcissistic because I'm talking about this, but I didn't put myself in the middle of this. Robert sued me, and he's trying to blame me for everything, which that lawsuit is going nowhere, by the way. He's also being sued in the state of California, and he's said that those victims are defaming him, which, by the way, multiple of those claims that he's using in his statement to 7M about being defamed were thrown out by the court, and he was ordered to pay over $75,000 in legal fees. Many of their claims, like for sex trafficking, abuse, gender violence, unjust enrichment, infliction of emotional distress, they survived the dismissal period, and they are going to trial. They effectively pled their charges and their counts, and he'll have to defend himself against those at trial. Robert Shin should not be allowed to use creators on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter to harass, degrade, threaten, and ruin other people. Instagram creators, Facebook creators, and YouTube creators that are engaged in this have been doing this to me for years, believing that there was never consequences. I have sent so many cease and desists. I have had to take out restraining orders against people, and now it's getting to the point where criminal charges will have to be filed. I can't say what will come from this investigation, but I know that the people involved are United States citizens, and if they are committing crimes, they will be charged, and we can prove it. I will be back tomorrow with my regularly scheduled content. Don't ever send hate or harassment to anyone involved in this video. Don't even send it to Robert Shin. Don't ever send threats to anyone. Don't engage in online bullying or harassment of anyone. Don't file false reports in other people's names. Don't commit perjury when you are filing false reports with the FBI. Don't break the law to help cult leaders. And don't try to make the journalist the bad person for telling the story. Remember Robert Shin and remember his victims. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye, guys.